Hey everyone, I'm back with a new video that is on FRBM Act, that is Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. So let's get started. Responsibility Management Act was originally implemented in the year 2003. This was implemented to ensure the fiscal consolidation in the economy. Now, what is meant by the fiscal consolidation? So, fiscal consolidation means to ensure intergenerational equity along with the macroeconomic stability of the present economy. What that means, intergenerational equity means if the government will keep on borrowing and will keep on spending a lot, then this will increase the debt burden or the interest burden of the present debt on the future generation. So that will increase the generation gap. So to reduce that and to ensure intergenerational equity and with macroeconomic stability, basically for fiscal consolidation, this FRBM Act was originally implemented in 2003. So let's see what were the provision of FRBM Act in the year 2003. The first provision was to ensure that fiscal deficit should be 3% of GDP by the year 2008 and 9. It means 5 years were given to reduce the fiscal deficit, fiscal deficit to 3% of GDP. That is, your fiscal deficit should not be more than 3% of GDP by the year 2008 and 9. Second target was for revenue deficit. Revenue deficit should be completely eliminated by the year 2008 and 9, and the reduction would be 0.5% each year. Means the government should target to reduce the 0.5% of revenue deficit each year and hence completely eliminate it by the year 2008. This was the second target. Now the third target was no government borrowings from the RBI for deficit financing. It means if there will be a deficit in the government budget, government won't ask RBI to purchase the money to cover the deficit. It means monetization of deficit was completely removed under this act. So these three were the main provision. Along with this, the fourth provision was to present three documents with the presentation of budget. First document was medium term fiscal policy statement. That is, 3-year rolling target would be given. That is, if you are presenting budget in 2012, then you will give the data of 2013, 14 and 15. What will be your fiscal deficit estimates would be there. So 3-year rolling target would be there, how the government will target and how much reduction will be there in the subsequent years. First was that. Second was fiscal policy strategy statement. That is, what will be the central policies or government policies to reducing these targets. This document is for that. And the third one was a macroeconomic framework statement. That is to assess the growth and prospects of Indian economy. So these three documents needed to be present along with the presentation of budget. So these were the few provision in the original act of FRBM. Government had to give the fiscal stimulus package in the year 2008-9 due to Great Depression, and because of all this, government missed its target, and the target under FRBM Act wasn't completed. So in the year 2012 and 13, the government first amended the FRBM Act, and the two new provisions were incorporated into that. The first one was to revise the target. Earlier, the target should be completed by the year 2008-9. Now the timeline has been changed, and the new deadline is 2015. Now the government should attain all the four targets by the year 2015. The second one was to present. We discussed that government should present three documents along with the budget. This amendment says that government should also present fourth document along with the other three document, that is the medium term expenditure policy statement. Okay, so this was the fourth document. And presently the government presents four documents with the budget. So this is one of them, which was added in 2012 and 13 when the FRBM Act was first amended. um, After that, the second amendment was happened in 2015, because the government also missed the target by the year 2015. So government needed to amend it and revised its deadline by the year 2017 and 18. After that, government formed a NK Singh Review Committee on FRBM in the year 2016 and 17, and on the basis of NK Singh committee recommendation, government has introduced certain reforms. So let's just study what were the recommendation given by the NK Singh Review Committee and what are its present status. Just make sure that make it clear in your mind that these are the recommendation, and doesn't necessarily means that the government have accepted all the recommendation. I will tell you along with the recommendation that which recommendation was accepted by the government. So the first recommendation was that combined debt to GDP ratio of central and state governments will be 60% by the year 2023. This was accepted by the government in the current amendment also. And the central debt to GDP ratio will be 40% by the year 2023. It means the central government debt to GDP ratio should be 40%, and the central and state government combined debt to GDP ratio should be 60% by the year 2023. This was the first recommendation. The second recommendation was that fiscal deficit should be 3% by the year 2021 and should be 2.5% by the year 2023. So these were the recommendation. Both the recommendations were accepted by the government. The third recommendation was about glide path. Glide path was given. Just to glide path means the the slow adjustments in the target. So glide path was also recommended. This wasn't accepted by the government. The next recommendation was to create an independent fiscal council which will be given an advisory functions, but this recommendation was also not accepted by the government. Other than this, revenue deficit should be decreased by the amount of 0.25% each year. In the original FRBM, the target was to reduce 0.5% each year, but this year they have decided to just reduce it 2.5 0.25 percentage, and to reach to 0.8 percentage by the year 2022 and 23. This recommendation was also not accepted by the government, and they have removed the revenue deficit target from the amended FRBM Act. And after that, this also proposed the deviations of 0.5%. Means if your target is 3%, so 0.5% deviations can be given if there will be a national security, war, or calamity, or collapse of agriculture. If any of uh, if any of them will be there, then you can allow to deviate 0.5% from your target. So this was also not accepted. Only these two were accepted from the NK Singh Review Committee. Other than this, government has also added two new provisions in the amendment, that is guarantee on loan. The guarantee given by the government on the loan, that won't exceeds greater than 0.5% of GDP. That means that should be limited up to the 0.5% of GDP. More than this, government cannot guarantee on the loans. Other than this, shall not borrow from RBI. That is monetization of deficit still not possible. And government can borrow from RBI for the temporary mismatch of cashes via ways and means advantage. But other than this, no monetization of deficit would be there. So these were the recommendation, and I have told you also what were the accepted by the government. So this was all about the FRBM Act. If you have any doubt, you can post it in the comment section. uh, I'll be happy to answer all your queries. And please subscribe my channel. Have a nice day. Bye bye.